Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of the Top 5 Podcast, hopefully your favorite new Eagles podcast. I'm Chris Blades, and once again, we're here to discuss everything Eagles. Luckily, this one we were doing after a week in which they won, as opposed to last week we did after Chargers game. That's a week that they lost. And some people, it depends on the person, but some people, they like the negative, rage-filled content. I'm not that kind of person. I normally don't get, not that I can't get upset, especially when it comes to sports, but that's not the type of stuff I was hoping to make. So again, it's always a little bit easier to talk after a win. You're more upbeat, you're more positive, the game's more enjoyable, your week's more enjoyable. Everybody's happier after a win. So that's where I'm at today. I'm assuming that's where you guys are at as well. Because again, if you're a fan of the Eagles, you watch them win, that usually leads to a good week. Like I said, I know my days are always a little bit better in between games after the team has won, obviously, than after the team has lost, especially if it's a good win, in which this was. It wasn't like a win that they played terribly. They had to pull it out there at the very end. No, this was a win that they pretty much controlled. Like I said, we'll talk about it in a second, but it's a game that they controlled for the majority of the game. Obviously, they had some parts there in the second quarter, leading up in the third quarter, leading up to the big fumble return, that it was oh, okay, it's a little dicey, it's a one possession game, things like that. But for the majority of the game, they were the better team, and they were able to come out on top. I think this was their fourth. Yeah, no, because they've only won games on the road. Funny enough, the Eagles are a very weird team this year. And again, we'll touch on that a little bit too. But yes, their fourth win on the road. I think they're 4-2 now on the road. Obviously got a big, if you're a playoff guy, it's a big game coming up this weekend against the Saints, which we will touch on as well. But yeah, no. So like I said, just getting to the game's a good win. 30-13 win. Like I said, a commanding win, if you will, especially on the scoreboard. In terms of stats and things, like they were the better team throughout the entirety of the game. They should have won this game. They did, in fact, win this game. And yes, it's just a thing you like to see. Jalen Hurts played well again, which he'll be one of the main takeaways, which we'll talk about. But he played well, especially in that first half. 2 touchdown passes, both to Devontae Smith. Shout out to him. Got 2 touchdowns on his birthday. That's pretty cool. One over Pat Surtain, former Alabama teammate. So I imagine not the first time it's happened to him. Because again, they went at each other in practice and stuff like that. I imagine there were times that Devontae got the best of him, because Devontae was a Heisman Trophy winning receiver. It's just bound to happen at some point. So yeah, good game for him. Another good game for the run the ball crew in the fan base. Obviously, again, as fans, if you're on Twitter or social media or talk radio or just TV and things like that, nature podcasts, a lot of fans are talking about, the Eagles should run the ball more. That should be their identity. And if you were one of those people, another good game for you. This is another game where they ran very well. They ran for over 216 yards on 39 carries. Again, some of that is Jalen Hurts scrambling. Some of that was design run. So again, it helps when you have a quarterback that can get you yards on the ground. Let's say he is these guys, but like a Lamar, like a Josh Allen, like a Kyler Murray, guys like that, or Cam Newton back in the day, or maybe Cam Newton now since he's back in the league. He wasn't the last time I think it was on Thursday, I believe. And like I said, I recorded this one. I'm recording on Wednesday, and I recorded the other one last Wednesday. But yes, like I said, like a Cam Newton, guys like that, where they can be an integral part of your running game. It helps get those yards when you have a guy like Jalen Hurts. So shout out to him. He did his thing as well in this game on the ground. I believe he had 55 yards on the ground, 56. He had 55 yards on the ground. So yeah, another good game for him. Another good game for Jordan Howard. Shout out to him. He got elevated to the 53-man roster this week. We'll see. Well, I guess I'll take that back last week before the last game. We'll see how they maneuver the roster once Miles Sanders comes back, because his practice window was opened. He was on the IR with a low grade or a low ankle sprain. It seems everything you kind of heard about it, because he was even tweeting or post on Instagram he was back last week, and obviously he couldn't play last week because he was still on IR. But for all intents and purposes, it seems as if he's going to be able to play pretty soon, which could very well be this week. They didn't say for certain, but again, we'll see. So then we'll see how the back distribution and the carries get distributed once he's back, because again, Jordan Howard's been playing really well. Boston Scott was good in this game. He had 81 yards on the ground on 11 carries. Howard had 83 yards on 12 carries. So again, both those guys have been good in the absence of